For nearly 3,000 separate radio episodes, The Lone Ranger fascinated audiences, and the show's best narrator was Fred Foy.
Matt had a head start, but his horse was no match for the dazzling speed of the great horse Silver. As Silver closed the gap, the Lone Ranger's lariat snaked out. Pulled from the saddle, Matt hit the ground hard. The Lone Ranger quickly dismounted and drew a gun.
Stay right here on the ground. Are you hurt?
I guess not. But you, that mask.
Someday you may know what it means.
Listen to The Lone Ranger, brought to you by special recording Mondays through Fridays at this same time.
And one aspect of every episode that endeared the show so much to listeners was at the end, when someone always wondered who the Masked Man was.
Who shot me? Who opened fire on us? Too bad you crooks missed your chance to see the Lone Ranger.
And when the Lone Ranger made the transition to television with Clayton Moore and Jay Silverheels starring, thank goodness that element played a large part in each closing. I thought you might enjoy some of those TV Lone Ranger endings.
You know very much about that man?
No, but I know enough. The Indian told me. He's the Lone Ranger.
Isn't that just like him to slip out so quietly after all he's done for Spring Valley?
You know, I've got a hunch you know who that masked man is.
I do. The Indian told me, Ed. And you can print this in your front page. He's the Lone Ranger.
He didn't tell me his name.
I reckon you won't forget it once you hear it, Bill. He's the Lone Ranger.
You know who the masked man is, don't you?
Even the dummy'd know that. He's the Lone Ranger.
Well, it took a clever man to catch me, whoever he is. Yes, he's the Lone Ranger.
Now, how can I do a story on someone when I don't even know his name?
The name really isn't important, Mrs. Turner. He's the Lone Ranger.
And beside, he's doing more to bring law and order to the West than a whole posse of sheriffs.
Is that so? Just who is this masked wonder?
Dinna you ken? He's the Lone Ranger.
I could have told you that masked man wouldn't want a reward. I've heard about his good deeds. Why, even in the Army, the men were talking about him. He's the Lone Ranger.
I've heard a lot of stories about a masked man and an Indian working together for law and order. I figured that masked man can only be one person. He's the Lone Ranger.
Do you mean to sit there, Sheriff, and tell me that you ain't figured out who he is? Why, he's the Lone Ranger.
Hear that, Dad? It's thunder. He said it'd rain, and rain's coming.
He sure called a turn.
Jim, is that masked man really the one that Jackie thought?
Go ahead, tell her, son.
Sure, Mom. Like I said all along, he's the Lone Ranger.
There is something predictable but bittersweet about those endings, whether they be from the radio or the television run of the Lone Ranger. They all take us back to our childhood, to a kinder and gentler time.
The Lone Ranger, a copyrighted feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated, is produced by Pendle Campbell Muir Incorporated. The part of the Lone Ranger is played by Brace Beamer. Your announcer, Fred Boyd.
I'm Dennis Daly.